They're two happy women bringing you inspiring stories, politics, pop culture, and lifestyle hacks, all with an eye to making our communities and our country a better place to live. It's the Happy Women Podcast with your hosts, Jen Horn and Katie Gorka.
Security clearances, crashing the stock market, and then insider trading. Accusations Democrats made in the last couple of weeks. It has been a crazy thing to see just over the last few days, the response from the left, Democrats, of course, the news media, to some of the things happening within President Trump's White House. But we are going to unpack some of the truth here today about what's really going on with voting in this country, and even tell you about a few of the security clearances that have been revoked by President Trump. Maybe we're finally getting to the swamp. I'm Jennifer Horn. Welcome to the Happy Women Podcast.
And I'm Katie Gorka. So happy to be here with you, Jen.
You know what? It's very funny. As much as it is always ups and downs, and you have to hear all of the harsh rhetoric from people that don't agree with us politically, I have to tell you, it is still an amazing time to be alive. Like every day, I look at the news and I'm still smiling from ear to ear. As President Trump said, you're going to get tired of winning. I am not tired of winning yet, but I am really happy that it seems the focus in my state, actually, and nationally, this today, as we record this, has been on voter security, making sure that you are legal to vote. This seems like really basic stuff that all Americans should be behind. But cue the fear mongering, cue the, oh, no one will ever be able to vote again antics of the left. But let's start at the White House. There's a cabinet meeting today, Katie, and everybody was around the table giving their updates. I love the transparency of the Trump administration where you could actually see this. We were blocked from this under other administrations, but you noticed a really interesting update from Tulsi Gabbard today.
Yep. She said that she said she's had some of her best people working on this, and they are finding that the voting machines absolutely can be hacked. And they are finding that numbers can be changed. So I think it's going to be really interesting. And yet at the same time on the Hill today, they passed the SAVE Act, which is a really big deal. I can tell you, our election integrity team here in Fairfax County, I mean, they've just been dreaming of this. People have been fighting for this for a long time, and it's incredible that it's passed. But here's what I'm most amused by. Can I just read to you Hillary Clinton's response to this? Because it's just too funny.
You know, it has to be big to hear from Hill. You know,
I know. There you go.
It's a big issue.
This is a great. So the idea of the SAVE Act is voter ID and verifying that people are actually legal to vote. So here's what Hillary Clinton has to say to that. Update. The House just passed the Republican voter suppression measure that threatens voting access for millions of Americans, including 69 million women whose married names don't match their birth certificates.
That's ridiculous.
Wow, because I've had such a hard time voting in my life.
I know. But you know what's going to happen is she's trying to get the people that were behind the Women's March to go out there saying Trump doesn't want us to vote, and they're going to all dress up in their silly costumes like the Handmaid's Tale. I just can't. If you're not into protecting our vote, I don't care if you are black, white, purple, green, male, female, or something in between. It's the only thing we have, and we need to make sure that it is safe and it is meaningful, and that people have not lost faith in it. And you know, it's really funny because I think this last time around, Republicans were the ones who lost faith in our voting system because in 2020, I think many of us had a hard time swallowing the idea that Joe Biden in his current form could have brought in as many votes as they said he did. I might still stand by that. And but it was 2016 when it was Democrats who said that Russia was hacking into our voting system and changing around votes. So this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is something that both parties have felt. This is something that all Americans have felt. And so anything we can do to make our vote safer, I think it has to be done. If that means Tulsi Gabbard is going to be investigating how adversaries could be hacking into our voting system. I won't even say it's people in this country. What if it's China? What if it's Russia? Let's make sure that that is safe and secure. And if it's making sure that you are a legal citizen before you're able to cast a vote, bring it on, because the border has been open for way too long now. And all of the information that's come out from Elon Musk and the Doge team about how many people actually came into this country under Joe Biden, got a social security card, and actually cast votes in the last presidential election, we have to do something.
Jen, I got to give a shout out to one of my other favorite happy women, and that is the congresswoman from Wyoming who managed to get Liz Cheney thrown out of office, and that's Harriet Hageman.
Yeah.
She is talk about a warrior. I feel like I don't know if she's yet on everybody's radar screens, but if not, she should be. She has taken on so many great topics, and I just caught a snippet of an interview with her talking about the money laundering that's been going on with money that goes out to NGOs and then comes back in to the coffers of the Democrat Party. And she said she has seen evidence of it. So I think there is quite a bit more to come on voting machines, on elections, and on funding that's been going to the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you know, I love to share stories that are going on in California, because it's nice to see when people in California, which is such a blue state, even want to fight back, or at least show that they see the sensibilities in this. Because I think it's really easy when you watch um, other media sources, when you watch the mainstream news media, you think everybody must hate this idea because they're going to take Hillary Clinton's comments and they are going to run with that, right? You can't vote. Women won't be able to vote. People of color will not be able to vote. They'll do all of this fear mongering, and all of a sudden you think, well, maybe most of America doesn't agree with this. But in California, there's a man, we've actually talked about him here, Katie. We're going to be with him actually at the Unite IE Conservative Summit, where we're going to be together in California. And Carl DeMaio is his name. He's an assemblyman who called out the fraud that was going on with the government in California, still 5 years after COVID, spending money on workplace education for the COVID pandemic. And it turns out that that money was actually going to these NGO groups, just like a USAID scheme, but in California. And so Assemblyman DeMaio yesterday in Sacramento put up a bill for voter ID in California. Well, you think with like four Republicans in the state legislature. No, there's more than that. I think there's like nine, but I don't think we've cracked double digits yet. Of course, the Democrats were going to not let that fly, so they voted it down. Well, Carl DeMaio announced what has been percolating in California and is going to be worked on by all of our local Republican congressional representatives like Ken Calvert and Jay Obernolte, other members of the state legislature. They are putting together a citizens initiative for voter ID. And the reason I bring this up is not just a pie in the sky idea from Republicans saying, wouldn't it be nice, and it's never going to pass, but their polling indicates that 74% of California, so keep in mind the most liberal of the liberal, support voter ID. That's not
Wow.
any political party. Those are just residents of California. And 56% of Democrats in California support voter ID. Those are pretty big numbers. Now, you would think that would be 100%, but I just don't want us to get discouraged, because the next few weeks, you're going to hear a lot of people saying a lot of things about the SAVE Act. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about exactly what Hillary Clinton is, that this is about trying to hold people back from voting. Um, Most people in this country agree with the fact that there should be some kind of identity check on elections, and those poll numbers from California prove it for me. If 56% of California Democrats support that, and if 74, 75% of the state of California thinks that we should show up and have ID, and we're talking about a sanctuary state, to me this means that the heart of America is really with this idea, and I think it is time for us to protect our elections.
100%. All right, I wanna go back to something you said earlier. You talked about the fact that, um, we still wake up every day feeling like we're winning, and
Yeah.
we are. But I gotta tell you, I had a very special personal win yesterday, and
Okay.
this is something that probably, did not register on most people's radar screens, but I think this was really huge, and it meant a lot to me personally, and that is President Trump signed an executive order calling for an investigation of somebody named Miles Taylor. And he also, right after that, talked about Chris Krebs, who you'll remember said 2020 was the most secure election we ever had. But I want to talk about Miles Taylor because, you remember I worked on Trump's transition team in his first election, which means, you're kind of behind the scenes. You're nowhere near the campaign, but you're working for several months getting policies, executive orders, and things ready for the moment the administration takes power. So I was on that transition team working at the Department of Homeland Security, and Trump gets inaugurated. We go into office. I'm there on day one at Department of Homeland Security, and within a few days or weeks, in sweeps this young guy who's been working on the Hill and just kind of takes it all over. Doesn't want any discussion, kind of says, okay, I've got this. And I had to work with him for about 2.5 years. And he
So
made it
you
up to a
worked
very,
with
I worked with him.
Wow.
Yeah. Not for him, but with him. He ended up rising all the way up to being, I think, chief of staff to the secretary by the end. But here's the thing. He blocked things the whole time, and nobody could really figure out why. Well, it turns out he was the author of that infamous book. Either it was titled or he used the name Anonymous, where he said, came out and said, high level people in the Trump administration are, really hate what Trump is doing and we're all working against him. That was Miles Taylor. Miles Taylor was a member of the Lincoln Project. So he accepted a job as a political appointee, which means he is there to serve the president. And he did it completely deceptively because he was a part of the Lincoln Project, which, as you know, their whole effort was to undermine President Trump. So yesterday, President Trump signed an executive order saying, we are going to investigate Miles Taylor. He said, I believe this was treason. I completely agree. I've been saying this for 4 years. What Miles Taylor did was treasonous. It was a complete violation of the American voters and their voice, right? Because he's saying, I don't care what the voters voted for. I think I know what's best and I'm going to do it. So I thought I can't tell you how happy this made me. This was
I
incredible.
I didn't realize you had such a personal relationship, or not personal relationship, but
Yeah.
personal. Yes, there was an attachment there between the two of them. I think this is so important that we do this. That's what's made President Trump's administration this time around, I think, feel that much more special, is that he himself. And look, the people made fun of the fact that it's his family as well. Maybe Don Jr. helped him pick people. Who cares? He has people around him now that I believe are going to be loyal and that are all in there working for the right reasons and working for America. And I don't know that he had that with him the last time. I think you had a lot of people who were trying to claw in, and they played off of his inexperience in politics, sadly. And I don't know. When I heard that yesterday, I kind of got a little chill and some goosebumps as well, not knowing your connection, but just going, this is the swamp that we are finally weeding out. The people who
Yeah.
are pretending to be on our side and that are supposed to be on the side of America and are not doing anything of the sort to provide for the people that they're supposed to be working for. So
And I think it's
I love it.
incredible that he's actually saying we're going to hold them accountable. They
And they
should
should.
hold them accountable. I mean, the impression that I got, the way Trump talked about it, because he really, you could tell it really bothered him, because he talked at length after he signed the executive order. He talked at length about Miles, and he said something like, I sat here in the Oval Office with Miles right there. I didn't really know who he was. And then it turns out this whole time, Miles is working against him. I mean, you could tell that Trump felt really personally affronted by this, as he should. And he came out and said the words, I believe that was treason and we are going to investigate it.
Hey guys, it's Jennifer Horn and Katie Gorka from the Happy Women podcast, and we are both so excited to talk to you about my PhD, weightloss.com. The PhD weight loss program has worked for Katie. She is in maintenance. I am still going through my journey, but Katie, I just told you this last weekend, I threw out a stack of clothes that no longer fit. I mean, it's time for a new wardrobe. That's right. I'm excited about that. It's a good problem to have, I guess.
I was so excited because I actually had to get rid of almost my entire winter wardrobe because I went from a size 12 to a size 8. And it's funny because I
Amazing.
kept a few of my favorite pieces and I put them on and they're like so baggy. I don't feel good in them. But yeah, it was absolutely an amazing program. And what I'm excited about, I'm now 2 years post weight loss and I've been able to maintain my weight this whole time. So it's been great.
Incredible victories. Time to feel them for yourself. Call PhD Weight Loss right now, 864-644-1900, 864-644-1900, or myphdweightloss.com. Use code Jen, myphdweightloss.com, code Jen.
As you should, as they should. Which department do you know? Which one? Who will investigate that? Is it going to be under? Will it be the Attorney General? Is it the FBI? Like, who goes after that?
I think it's the DOJ.
DOJ will go after.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm, I have to tell you again, I'm happy to see it. And, going back to what we've been talking about is just that feeling like no matter no matter what the rocky waters are, I guess in the media coverage. I had a caller to the radio show. I host a radio show in Los Angeles actually today. And we were talking about the tariffs and, there was this back and forth. Well, did he jump out because he was panicking? I think President Trump always knew that there were options in front of him. And it was interesting. He said people got too yippy. And so he wanted to give everybody a life wrap. But I think that the 90-day pause was always part of the playbook because you had to come to the table and look like you were absolutely going to impose tariffs to get people to come to negotiate with you. I think that's part of his plan, part of his negotiation strategy. But the caller said, I didn't even care. He said, I trusted President Trump's plan. I saw my 401k, but I trusted his plan. And it's funny because, Katie, I felt that way too. I said, you know what? He's not going to try. His goal is not to sink the country. His goal is to make the country better. And I trusted that. And so we started talking about why that is different this time. And I think if you look back, at least at our most recent presidents, you had Joe Biden, who I don't think he knew where he was most of the time. So I can't say that he actively was working against the United States, but he was being manipulated by whoever was around him running the country. Barack Obama, I don't believe liked the United States. I believe he thought the United States was the problem. And so he wanted to fix the United States to make it what he thought it should be. And then you have George Bush, who I want to say got me into politics after 9/11. That's when I got engaged. And I think he was a great leader at that time for our country to lead us through a terrorist attack. But I believe he was the pawn in the greater scheme of things. President Trump is the first president that I can remember, and I would say probably Reagan is this way too, who came into the White House. I was pretty young, who came into the White House simply with the goal of making America better and actually loving the country. And it's really sad to think that other presidents in recent history haven't had that same thing in their heart. I don't think that they did, though. And I feel like I can't say either way about Joe Biden, but there was someone behind the scenes who was pulling strings for him. And it's nice to have a president in there who's actually worried about our future.
And I think what's clear about the Biden administration as well is that it was just so overrun with people who were only out for their own self-interest. I mean, we're seeing the evidence of that with all the billions of dollars that were channeled into, people's wives, NGOs, and, private foundations and NGOs that hadn't existed a year before. So I think that's what's really disorienting as well. But I also just want to say this, because you made me think of something really interesting, which is, what is the difference between Reagan and Trump? Because, I love Reagan. I thought Reagan was a great
Absolutely.
president, right? A very principled
My birthday
president.
buddy, you forget.
What?
My birthday buddy, Ronald Reagan.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Oh,
so
my
of
God.
course we have to love Reagan.
That's funny. But, and they're very similar in a lot of ways, in that they really were consistent throughout their lives in articulating their positions, and they really didn't change a whole lot. I think the key difference, though, is that Reagan learned too late just how insidious the swamp is and how evil it is. And I think what really distinguishes Trump and what's going to make him so effective in the end is everything he learned in the most painful ways
Yep.
but everything he learned about the true evil that people are capable of. And Reagan, I think, always played by gentlemen's rules. And
Yes.
I think Trump has realized, no, that because the other side doesn't play by those rules, he is not going to play by those rules. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and I think you're right. I think it's easier for Trump just with his personality, and he learned. And I also believe more than ever now that things happen for a reason. As upset as we all were that Trump didn't get a second term, I am grateful because I think this version, and believe me, I loved the first version of Trump. I loved 45, but I think 47 is executing better than anybody could have hoped. And I think it's because of that 4-year break, because he had the time to go, what was I in the middle of when he was president the first time around? And I'm really happy to see that no matter what, he's sticking to his team. He's loyal to the team that's with him. The team that he has seems to be loyal to him. That's very important. And on his team, I didn't tell you I was going to talk about this, but I got so upset the other night. And I don't want to I'm not going to name the person who tweeted this out because he's just one of many. But I have seen this on Twitter, this offense on Kristi Noem. Have you been seeing this?
No.
So Kristi Noem is the Department of Homeland Security Secretary. She is very active. She is out there all the time. You see her doing raids. I mean, she's walking into prisons with MS-13 gang members. I'd be like, no, guys, thanks. I'm going to sit in the car. Like, it just, I don't know. I mean, she's putting herself in these situations and, say what you will. I think it shows that she's pretty strong and she wants to be there with the people on the ground. But there's been a lot of chatter, especially from men on Twitter, that she is dressing. I believe one of the words I saw yesterday was like a Cupid doll. And I know sometimes she goes into these situations dressed for the occasion. Like when she's at the border, she kind of has the Border Patrol look. I know she's got different looks. But a picture I saw floating around that people were upset about was her in a white long sleeve shirt and pants and a baseball cap. And for some reason, people were saying that that was just inappropriate and that it's showing that the administration looks unserious because of the clothes that she's wearing. And I don't know why it frosted me, Kate. I don't know why this got me so angry because this is not a problem that men face. Nobody ever does this. I mean, maybe at the extreme, like I'm talking about John Fetterman in his dirty sweatsuit. I mean, that's like an obvious one.
Yeah.
But I don't think that men get the same scrutiny that women do because what did they say about Hillary Clinton? And I'm not standing up for Hillary, but she's frumpy. Look at those stupid pantsuits. She looks fat. She looks blah, blah, blah. And then you have Kristi Noem, who's gorgeous. Like she's hot. And so she comes out in her white shirts and her pants. And now they're saying she looks too unserious. I mean, where do you win? I was just thinking about this plight for women, that women in business or women in front of the camera or in big positions, it shouldn't be about our clothes first, but it seems like it's the men out there who are making it about the clothes. It's driving me crazy. Help me out.
No, I hear you. I mean, I'm hearing the same thing. I'm hearing the same kind of chatter around our Republican gubernatorial nominee here in Virginia, Winsome Sears.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of conversations I've heard where people talk about her hair or her outfits or her demeanor. And it's like, I don't ever remember, except for John Fetterman, I don't remember a single conversation about what any man was wearing or what he looked like. I mean, think about, some of the really old, crusty guys on the Hill. You don't hear conversations about what are they still doing in office, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. I think it's only the women that they go after.
I filed this away in my head because I thought I'm not going to get angry about this, but I am going to talk about this with my Happy Women family here with Katie, because I don't know. I just think we need to give it a rest because obviously looks matter and presenting matters. It matters for all of us. But when it comes to literally someone wearing pants and a shirt and because she's beautiful, you think that that's not serious. I don't know. I just think that we can do better. I think that we should do better. And I think we can do better, especially when we have daughters and we have people we have women that we are trying to make into great leaders. And I think we could probably focus on something more than if she's wearing a suit or if she's wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah. Let's focus instead on, can she really shoot a gun?
Yeah, now that I don't know about. That's fair game. I heard a whole lot of upset about Christina holding the gun. But you know what? When it comes to close, let's just back off on that. All right, guys, we thank you for joining us. Don't forget, we've got that big Patriots Alaska cruise that is coming up, and we want you to be there. This is where Katie and I took a group of you, maybe some of you listening to Alaska, and we made lifelong friendships. And we want you to be able to do the same. We set sail August 16th through the 23rd, and we go in and out of Seattle, Holland America, 5-star luxury cruise line. How good was the food, and how great were the amenities, Katie? They were amazing, right?
It was such a cool, the boat was so cool. I
Yeah.
loved it.
You
Yeah.
want to go to a spa, you can do that. You want to go to a casino, you can do that. You can go shopping. There's live entertainment. It's amazing. And the opportunity for excursions when we're in port, absolutely stunning and fun. And there's something for everybody. You want adventure, you want history, you want to do, I think they had beer crawls through Juneau. I mean, there's just something that you could do no matter what your interests are. Plus, every single day we get together with our Patriots group. And that means that we have programs just for you. VIP experience. You get face to face with Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, yours truly, Jennifer Horn, Joe Piscopo. And there will be no doubt lots of entertainment, singing, and comedy with Mike Gallagher and Joe Piscopo aboard the cruise. So join us for the Patriots Alaska cruise at travelwithsalem.com. If you book online, you save $50. Travelwithsalem.com. Also want to remind you to get Katie's book. It is called Next Gen Marxism, available right now. You can check out her website, katiegorka.org, and you can search for her on Facebook. Just look for Catherine Gorka, and on X at Gorka Katie. You can find me on social media too, Jennifer Horn Radio on Instagram and Facebook, and at Jennifer Horn on Truth and on X. And we appreciate those 5-star reviews and you sharing Happy Women with your friends. Please keep that up. It really does help us. And you can connect with us on all of our platforms. Just search for Happy Women, or you can go to SalemPodcastNetwork.com/Happy Women. Thanks for joining us. It's another episode of the Happy Women Podcast.